Too hot for TV.
Welcome back to Doctor Who Too Hot for TV, the festive Advent Calendar edition. And today I'm joined by the most festive person I know. He's the Father Christmas of Doctor Who podcasts. It's J.R Southall.
Hello, Dylan. The Father Christmas of... before we talk about the story that we've come to talk about, I need to dig into this. Is that just some random shit that you've said off the top of your head?
Yes, absolutely. No, it's because you deliver presents to us all year round in the form of podcast.
Is it because you've had me up your flu?
It's also that, yes. So, today, JR, we're going to talk about Sweet Flower of Uthe, although it's written U-T-H-E. I'm reliably informed by the story itself, it's pronounced Youth, which was part of the Doctor Who Annual 1981, released in the August of 1980. But before we jump into that, I must know, are you an annual person? Did annuals play a big part in your life, in your fandom, anything like that?
Weirdly, I had about 3 or 4 in a row, and this was in the middle of that. So this was either the second or third, I think, of maybe 4 in a row that I had. So I've got to be honest. One, I was wavering a bit on Doctor Who during this sort of period anyway. So I think I was getting these as a Christmas present because my parents knew I liked Doctor Who. And I did read all of them cover to cover, but I think I spent most of the time thinking, this isn't Doctor Who. Although not all, because this one in particular, and doing a little bit of homework for this, I see that this particular annual has a reputation for capturing the sort of Douglas Adamsiness of sort of season 17.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's not quite there in terms of the plot, but it genuinely feels like the era it's sort of representing, which some of them just don't at all. Some of the more modern ones tend to, but like the 60s ones and the Pertwee ones in particular are nothing like the show.
Right.
It's just a character called Doctor Who in a magic box.
Yeah. I do have a few of those because the annuals, so I had those 4, I think it's 4 that I had at the time. And if I see one in a charity shop for like £2 or less, I'll pick it up. So I have, a handful of ones from other eras, but I don't have anything like a full collection.
No, and I take it you don't dip into them to read them very often.
No.
Yeah, fair enough.
Really? I've not read this since 1980.
And is this a story you remember particularly, or was it just picked at random?
Well, I picked it at random. You said do an annual story, and I said this is the annual I remember reading, or these are the 4, and this one in particular, the cover leaped out and said, this one in particular you remember. And so I picked the story in this annual that had the title that I thought we can most get some conversation out of.
Well, it is an interesting title because, other annual stories are called things like Mission to Duh and Danger or some just very generic titles, very generic pulpy sci-fi titles. Whereas Sweet Flower of Uthe, it's quite a poetic title.
It's kind of a play on words, and you don't even need to read the story to see what the play on words is going to be, right? It's a planet called Youth. It's spelt differently, but it's said the same. And so there's 2 things going on there. One is, so what's the situation on this planet? And the other one is, how are they going to work youth into this?
Yeah.
And I don't think they do deliberately, but I think they do accidentally. So I think there's a subtext where the youth thing becomes really important, but I don't think the author realizes that when he's writing it.
They're not big on subtext, the writers of these things. So let's jump into the story then. The Doctor, K9, Romana, they land on an alien planet, as they must surely always do, and Romana's in the toilet.
She's only washing her hands.
Yeah. She's in the toilet on level 4. She's going to take a while to get there. I think she's doing more than washing her hands. Also, what was she doing before she was washing her hands?
Well, I don't want to think about it. Also, the Romana that we get to see. Oh, I said season 17. It's not, though, is it? Because the Romana in the picture, despite the fact that this came out in 1980, so surely this is the second Romana. But the Romana in the picture, the illustration, wow, it's neither of the Romanas, really.
Romana 3.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's one of the ones we saw at the start of Destiny of the Daleks. But if it's either of them, it's definitely Mary Tam.
Yeah, there's not really a vibe to her that is anything like Lala Ward.
Nor indeed Mary Tam!
So they arrive on this planet, after Romana's had a big poo.
Oh, Dylan, you had to go there. She could have just had a wee.
She might have done. Who knows what Time Lords do in the bathroom or what comes out of them.
Oh, move on.
And they immediately fall into a big hole.
Alice in Wonderland style.
Yes, and they end up in a dark and decaying corridor, which, despite centuries of disuse, was still remarkably intact. It can't be decaying and intact, can it?
Do you know what? You've not asked me about the writing of this yet. I don't know if we were going to come to that afterwards. I mean, it's quite a nice story, and I suppose we'll come to a conclusion about whether it's any good or not at the end. But reading this, I was struck by how badly written it is.
It's one of the better written annuals.
And this is the thing. I think the writing is generally okay, but I think there are things that you would notice if you were a writer that you just 1,000,000% wouldn't do. For instance, it starts, the opening paragraph is, the door of the TARDIS swung open and the Doctor's curly brown hair, topped by a soft, broad-rimmed hat, came into view. That's the opening of the story. This is a prose story written in the third person, and it doesn't involve a television camera, so there is no came into view.
Yeah.
You know, there's nobody watching him in the story. He doesn't come into view. It should be topped by a soft, broad-rimmed hat, emerged.
Yeah.
And there are just dozens of examples of that throughout the story.
Perhaps it's the sort of stuff they would have caught on a second draft, but I don't think any of these stories ever go through a second draft. It's somebody...
Well, exactly. And clearly is just thinking about, oh, it's a television programme, and doesn't really think any further than that.
Yeah.
But although that's, you know, one step further than a lot of the annuals writers got to thinking.
Very true. They get captured, as is their must, and the Doctor has previously said this has been a planet of peace. The war ended long, long ago. But the people who are living underground, they still think they're at war. It's a classic sci-fi conceit that's been done many times before.
Stephen Moffat does it in one of his own stories that we reviewed on this very podcast, well, about a year ago, I suppose. I think it was right at the start of 2025. And Russell T Davies puts it on television in The Doctor's Daughter, or a variation thereof. It's not like Doctor Who, But I mean, the thing that I'm thinking is that now it's a complete cliche. And reading it now, as soon as they went underground, I thought, oh, right, I see where this is going. Because I had no memory of the story, so I didn't remember it from reading it in 1980. But then it struck me, okay, maybe now I can see where it's going straight away. But when I was reading it in 1980, I wouldn't have. No. And this is for kids. They're not going to know.
And those kids won't remember The Enemy of the World because anybody who was 10 when Enemy of the World was on is now 20 and has forgotten all about Doctor Who or has started the DWAS. So I guess, like you're right. And these stories, they're very disposable and it's simple concepts that kids can understand.
And I think it's actually a really good concept and it's dealt with. I think it's dealt with pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a real sort of grimy atmosphere to it throughout, probably helped by the terrible prose, to be honest. But, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it jumps forwards really quickly to get through the story in the sort of 6 pages that it's got. But you do get a sense of the people.
Yeah.
The author manages to give you a sense of the characters, I think. There's only really 2 of them, but yeah.
We've got the stern military leader who's taking his instructions from a computer who says they're still definitely at war. And so he has no reason to believe the Doctor, who's obviously an enemy spy.
Yeah.
They restrain the Doctor. Someone hits Romana, which is shocking.
I don't think that would have been as shocking. I mean, clearly it's, not very pleasant, but I don't think it would have been quite as shocking if there hadn't been an illustration that goes with it. That shows somebody punching her and her flying through the air.
It's shocking. Absolutely shocking.
I don't think that illustration is probably quite what the writer had in mind when he wrote the line.
No, absolutely. It's bizarre. But so the Supreme Commander as well, we should also say there's an illustration of him and he looks something like either the War Chief or the Master.
Totally.
You'd be forgiven in thinking that one of those was going to show up, but it's not any of them.
I kept thinking it's the War Chief every time I looked at him. And also the guy who's in charge, don't they call him Supreme Commander? So I kept expecting Servalan.
She does not show up.
No. Oh, unless she's playing Romana, because it could be. It looks
it does look more like her than...
Yeah. There's more Jacqueline Pierce going on than Mary Temp.
Very true. They get locked up where they meet another captive who came down to try and broke a peace and was locked up straight away.
There is a huge logic problem at this point. So this person has come in from the outside and they've captured this person. Where's this person come from? Because the planet's surface, the whole point of this story is the planet's surface is supposed to be inhospitable to the degree where you can't live up there. It's poisonous to go up there.
But it's not poisonous, is it? Because that's the whole thing.
Well, that's the whole point, is that it's not. But if this person's come down into their tunnel system,
I see what you're saying.
he must have come from the surface.
Yeah, which disproves everything already.
But he clearly has come from somewhere. So are they fighting through? So is there a network of tunnels across the entire planet's undersurface? And if so, how does a war work that takes place exclusively in tunnels?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any logical sense, I don't think.
We're back to the Doctor's daughter at that point, I think.
We are.
There's supposed to be people from the other planets, because this is like Uthe 5 or something like that. And there was another one.
Uthe 3. Come on,
Uthe
Dylan.
3, sorry. There was another one that was completely destroyed. So, I mean, who knows? There's also people in the jail who are locked up who are people from that tunnel who have decided they want to broker peace and been arrested.
Yeah.
Anyway, they get taken back to the control room and the Doctor goes, "Your computer's lying to you." And he starts questioning the computer because they just let him for some reason.
Yeah.
And then the Doctor has got a flower from the surface.
Well, this bit was quite nicely done because they send K9 off at the start.
Oh, of course, yes. K9 comes back.
When I was 11 reading this, the bit where they send K9 off at the start, I was probably just thinking, Leisure Hive on the beach. Yeah. And I probably didn't think any further than that. Of course, this time, when they send K9 off at the start, I'm thinking you've got 6 pages to tell this story. Either that's really relevant or you are wasting my time. And so as soon as I realised what the story was, I thought, because the author makes a big point that their symbol, the symbol of their army, of their group, of whatever, is an illustration of this flower on their tunics.
The scatterbug.
Scatterbud. Come on.
Scatterbud, sorry.
This is not Starship Troopers. And as soon as they said there's a picture of this flower on their tunics, I'm like, right, K9's turning up with a flower, isn't he?
Yeah. And so K9 does, and the Doctor basically goes, well, the only place this grows is on the surface of your planet where you say everything is dead, and it's clearly not. So you're not at war anymore. And everybody goes, oh, because no one's bothered to check in all this time.
It's a sweet idea, but, it doesn't bear too much scrutiny. But when you're 11, 12, reading these annuals, who does scrutinise it that closely? Apart from Doctor Who fans, clearly.
Of course, yeah. I mean, the guy who wrote this, whoever he was, did not write it and think in 40 years' time there'll be 2 guys sat halfway across the country from each other analysing this over some futuristic computer device.
I bet it was David Whittaker,
He's got a hand in everything.
I don't want to know about that early scene in the toilet if David Whittaker's got a hand in absolutely everything.
This is one of the most effective of the annual stories I've read so far. And you are the 24th person I've spoken to. And this genuinely is one of the better ones. This is one where I'm like, I would like to read more from this particular annual just to see what it's like. Because it feels like, although, as you say, the prose style's weird and it's not particularly well written, it captures the era really well.
Yeah, totally.
It captures the Doctor's dialogue and speech patterns really well. It captures Romana quite well, considering
that we don't know quite which one it is, but you can tell that it's not just generic companion. It is Doctor's equal.
Exactly. How do you feel about the artwork?
I mean, it's okay. For what these things are, generally speaking, it sort of captures the feel of the characters, I think. Yeah. It doesn't capture, obviously, the physical attributes of the characters. So the artwork tries to turn it more into an adventure story than it really is.
Yeah.
But the illustrations, I think, are reasonable compared to... So I flicked through the other annuals, and I think the illustrations in this one are probably better, if not necessarily quite as iconic as some of the very early
You
ones.
can really spot which reference photos they've been using for Tom Baker. Not so much with Romana.
I think the reference photos they've been using for Romana are from like some American TV series, like Buck Rogers or something.
But there's a couple of, I would say 3 of the 4 pictures of Tom Baker I recognise as promo pictures, even if there's other people drawn in.
Yeah.
I like they can't do full colour, so they use a lot of purples and reds and pinks, and I think it works quite well.
Yeah, no, I think the illustrations are, I mean, for what it is and forgiven for when it is, I think it's fine. Yeah, it's quite nice, really.
And my favourite picture being the Doctor clutching the flower at the end with the computer smoking and burning behind him, because as we know, when computers can't handle stuff, they just blow up.
Yeah, that picture from like season 13 or something. Season 16, actually, isn't it?
I think it's Fangra.
Oh, is it? Right. Oh, yes, that looks about right.
Or Invisible Enemy, one of the 2.
Yeah. Certainly just slightly out of period, Tom Baker. And clearly the face has got no idea that the flower is in the hand. So I'm not entirely sure he's holding the flower. I think somebody's just got their arm around him with the flower.
No pictures of K9 there.
Is there not a single one?
There is. I'm just not. Oh, there is. There isn't a different story. I would have thought. I thought maybe that was a copyright thing, but no, he shows up in the Vote on Terror as well. You know,
judging by what I read about this annual, this is not regarded as the best story in this annual either.
I'm sure it isn't, but I wasn't going to read them all and pick my favourite.
No,
life's too short.
Nobody's got that amount of time. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say on this story?
Not really. I think just basically for what it is, it's a very good example, but it's sort of fairly low stakes, fairly low ambition stuff, really, isn't it? It's a nice thing, but it's inessential.
It does make you wonder why, rather than doing say 8 stories an annual, they didn't do 4 and try and make them, really tight or tighter.
I guess they were just filling space. With these annuals, they're just somebody somewhere is making a buck out of knowing that kids are going to be lapping up anything to do with their favourite TV programme. And it's a miracle, really, that they put as much effort in as they do. It reminds me, when I was like, I guess around this time, probably slightly later, probably 12, 13, 14, you'd buy collections of science fiction short stories. So you'd have books then that were collecting together stories that had been in the sort of the magazines, the Future whatever this and the whatever that used to be around amazing stories and stuff in the 40s and 50s. And they would all be high concept things with a couple of characters thrown into a story. Generally speaking, there's a twist at the end or some kind of surprise for the reader that the story works its way towards. And these annual stories, in this annual, I guess, particularly this story, reading it now, clearly, kind of follows that format where you've got a couple of characters, there's a high concept. About halfway through the story, you twig what the concept is, and at the end of the story, there's a little surprise to take you back out. And it's nice. It works like a nice little sort of treat. It's not anything particularly deep, but what it is just a little mystery. You don't even necessarily realize it's a mystery until you're partway through, and then you kind of go, "Oh, can't quite see where this is going," until eventually it reels you in and then gives you a nice little zinger where you can sort of go out of the story feeling happy that, there was a nice little surprise there. Little Christmas treat.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what it is. A kid's not going to sit down and read this entire thing on Christmas Day. But if they thumb through it over the week between Christmas and New Year's or whatever and read a story a day while they're filling their veins with chocolate as well, I'm sure they'll
filling their veins with chocolate.
Oh, yes, they inject.
Christmas was obviously a little different for you, Dylan. It does explain an awful lot, though.
Yes, very true, very true. But yes, as I said, this was one of the better ones. So that's it. Thanks for joining me today to go open another door on the festive Doctor Who Too Hot for TV Advent calendar. I'll be back tomorrow to open the final door on the Advent calendar and see what treats await us. But until then, I've been Dylan.
And I've been JR.
And this has been Doctor Who Too Hot for TV. Merry Christmas.
Doctor Who, too hot for TV.
Incidentally, a happy Christmas to all of you at home.
You must be the 15th person I've spoken to, at least.
Not the 24th. I'm not getting that much coveted Christmas Eve spot then.
And you are the 24th person I've spoken to.
Too hot for TV.
Quite a mouthful.
Or number 16 by the sound of it.
Or 24.
Or 17, my favourite number.
17's your favourite number. Okay, I'll see what I can do. I'll be back tomorrow with another story, another guest. But even if it's the 24th, I could see your face there, JR. I've got something planned for Christmas Day, mate.
Oh, damn it. This has not been our Christmas Day.
No, absolutely not.